Today we are picking up with the book of Judges, and we're looking at Judges chapter 20. And this is coming on the heels of what we saw in Judges chapter 19. And of course, in Judges 19, we saw this situation where this man that was traveling was staying at a house, and in this town in the area of the tribe of Benjamin in Gibeah, him and his concubine were there, and the men came and accosted them and said to this old man who was coming home from working in the fields and had these individuals staying with him as his guests. These people said, "Come out and bring this man out, and so we may, know him and molest him." And the old man said, "No, don't do that." And eventually they sent out the concubine and the man's wife, so to speak, and they ravaged and raped and molested that woman all night long. And then in the morning, she was dead. Now, when the man that was married to this concubine saw that she was dead, he cut up her body and sent a note to all the tribes. He cut her body up into 12 pieces, sent a note to everyone, every tribe, explaining what happened. And that's kind of where we are now. And so now we're going to see the reaction of the rest of the tribes to this action that happened in the territory of the tribe of Benjamin. So let's go ahead and take a listen to the story here. This is a long one, but I think we'll still be able to get through it today. Let's take a listen here. Judges chapter 20.
Chapter 20. Then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man, from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilead unto the Lord in Mizpeh. And the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 footmen that drew sword. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were gone up to Mizpeh. Then said the children of Israel,
"Tell us, how was this wickedness?"
And the Levite, the husband of the woman that was slain, answered and said,
"I came into Gibeah that belongeth to Benjamin, I and my concubine to lodge. And the men of Gibeah rose against me, and beset the house round about upon me by night, and thought to have slain me. And my concubine have they forced, that she is dead. And I took my concubine, and cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Israel. For they have committed lewdness and folly in Israel. Behold, ye are all children of Israel. Give here your advice and counsel."
And all the people arose as one man, saying,
"We will not any of us go to his tent, neither will we any of us turn into his house. But now this shall be the thing which we will do to Gibeah. We will go up by lot against it.
And we will take 10 men of 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000, to fetch victual for the people, that they may do when they come to Gibeah of Benjamin, according to all the folly that they have wrought in Israel."
So all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, knit together as one man. And the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying,
What wickedness is this that is done among you? Now therefore deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death, and put away evil from Israel.
But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities unto Gibeah, to go out to battle against the children of Israel. And the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew sword, beside the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men. Among all this people there were 700 chosen men left-handed. Every one could sling stones at an hairbreadth, and not miss. And the men of Israel, beside Benjamin, were numbered 400,000 men that drew sword. All these were men of war. And the children of Israel arose, and went up to the house of God, and asked counsel of God, and said,
Which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin?
And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin, and the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah, and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men. And the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves, and set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until even, and asked counsel of the Lord, saying,
Shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother?
And the Lord said, Go up against him. And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of God, and wept, and sat there before the Lord, and fasted that day until even, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And the children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying,
Shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin my brother, or shall I cease?
And the Lord said, Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into thine hand. And Israel set liers in wait round about Gibeah. And the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in array against Gibeah, as at other times. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city. And they began to smite of the people, and kill as at other times in the highways, of which one goeth up to the house of God, and the other to Gibeah in the field, about 30 men of Israel. And the children of Benjamin said,
They are smitten down before us, as at the first.
But the children of Israel said,
Let us flee, and draw them from the city unto the highways.
And all the men of Israel rose up out of their place, and put themselves in array at Baal Tamar. And the liers in wait of Israel came forth out of their places, even out of the meadows of Gibeah. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and the battle was sore. But they knew not that evil was near them. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day 25,000 and 100 men. All these drew the sword. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten. For the men of Israel gave place to the Benjamites, because they trusted unto the liers in wait which they had set beside Gibeah. And the liers in wait hasted and rushed upon Gibeah, and the liers in wait drew themselves along, and smote all the city with the edge of the sword. And there was an appointed sign between the men of Israel and the liers in wait, that they should make a great flame with smoke rise up out of the city. And when the men of Israel retired in the battle, Benjamin began to smite and kill of the men of Israel about 30 persons, for they said,
Surely they are smitten down before us, as in the first battle.
But when the flame began to arise up out of the city with a pillar of smoke, the Benjamites looked behind them, and behold, the flame of the city ascended up to heaven. And when the men of Israel turned again, the men of Benjamin were amazed, for they saw that evil was come upon them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel unto the way of the wilderness, but the battle overtook them, and them which came out of the cities they destroyed in the midst of them. Thus they enclosed the Benjamites round about, and chased them, and trode them down with ease over against Gibeah toward the sunrising. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men, all of these were men of valor. And they turned and fled toward the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon. And they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men, and pursued hard after them unto Gidom, and slew 2,000 men of them. So that all which fell that day of Benjamin were 25,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor. But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon, and abode in the rock Rimmon 4 months. And the men of Israel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well the men of every city as the beast, and all that came to hand. Also they set on fire all the cities that they came to. Chapter 20. Then all
right. So, as you can see, this is a problem. Now, why did all of this start? Why did all this fighting? We talked about this, all this fighting we see in the world today. Why did all this fighting here start? It started because there was what going on in Gibeah? Lewdness, sexual perversion, these men not being satisfied with having the concept of what God said when he told Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply, in the context of being a husband and wife and producing children. But when you take that gift, that beautiful thing that God has given, that it allows men to continue to enjoy the relationship between a husband and a wife, and you turn it into something that is just beyond measure, where they want to be in a sexual aspect where they are committing atrocity and hurt and evil and even death, and they are aroused. Now, what is this coming from? It comes from all of the sexual practices of the people that were in that land before they got there. That was part of what the worship of Baal and Ashtaroth was. These were just abominations of aspects of how they tried to please themselves. But in doing it, all they actually did was destroy themselves. We're going to see that again and again, especially as we get into more of the book of 1st and 2nd Samuel, Kings, and Chronicles. We're going to see all of this and how it all just is. But the sad thing about this is that this is something that we even see in the world today. We see people that are in all kinds of different kind of fetishes where they can't enjoy the beautiful aspect of intimacy without it bringing up some form of torture or dismembering or some type of disaster, even murder, and that's how they get their fulfillment. It's a sad situation. It's not new. It's been around for a while, and that you say, well, where does this come from? Well, the Bible says that Satan comes but to what? Kill, to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to steal the actual pleasure, the gift that God has given, and to destroy the whole concept of it. Now, this was folly, wickedness that happened, and this man whose concubine was put to death, he recognizes, even though he knows he's not doing things properly either, but he's not at this level. When you look at that story, you see a lot of things, but there's certain things that were missing, because the man was married to his concubine, and the concubine was as a wife, but it didn't say that was his wife. It's kind of like today. We have people that they say they're together, they're not married, they're kind of like just living together. You know, this is kind of like what you call common law marriage. And we see a lot of that. And even when you saw the old man coming from the field and came to his house, what you didn't notice, if you saw, you didn't see the old man came home and his wife greeted him. He didn't have a wife either. So there was things missing. And so when you have things missing out of the way that God had designed it, it's something missing. It's not going to be able to stand. Right? When you're building a house and you put down the foundations, but you don't want to put up a support crossbeam, don't try to build 2 stories. You're not going to be able to do it because you're going to need that crossbeam as support. And so there are a lot of things that God has told us to do, because this is what allows it to be stable. This is what allows it to stand. This is what will allow it to last. You need to have that the philosophy that the man will bring, the philosophy that the woman will bring. All of this is important. God designed it. I didn't design it. You didn't design it. God did. And we have to keep in mind that when these things are removed and when you start taking pieces out of it, you start moving it like that game of Jenga. You know that game when you stack all those blocks together and you start taking little pieces out? And that's what people do to God's plan and God's word. They keep taking little pieces out. Let's take this out and let's remove this. And we don't need this. And then what's going to happen eventually? It's going to all just come down. It's going to crumble. And sad to say, that's what happens to our society. We keep taking little pieces of what God said we should do out. We don't really need to do this. Why do we need to do this? Oh, this ain't necessary. And you start taking all these pieces and problems happen. All right, let's get into our study today. So we're picking up from that concept of what happened in Benjamin, and now this man is addressing it after he sent these packages to all the tribes of Israel. And it says, and then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man from Dan to Beersheba. Now, what does that mean? That means when they got the notice, when they got the package that was sent, they were like, "What in the world is going on here?" And everybody sent an emissary to go find out what the problem is. And they sent them from every area. And look what it says. With the land of Gilead unto the Lord in Mizpah. So they all gathered together into Mizpah. Look at verse 2. And the chief of all the people, even all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 footmen that drew swords. Now they came down there to find out what's going on, but they also came down there with people that knew how to what? Knew how to fight. We ain't coming down here just to kind of, be all nice. If we need to swing a sword, we're going to do so. Look at verse 3. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were going up to Mizpah, then said to the children of Israel, "Tell us, how was this wickedness?" All right. So now they want to know, give me an explanation. What happened? Why do we got this cut up woman sent to us? All these different pieces sent to all the tribes. What is the whole purpose and meaning behind this? All right. Verse 4. And the Levite, the husband of the woman that was slain, all right, answered and said, I came to Gibeah, that belongeth to Benjamin. Where's the problem at? It's in Gibeah, which is part of the tribe of Benjamin. I had my concubine to lodge. All right, he had his concubine. Now keep in mind, it's calling him the husband, but they're not saying they're husband and wife. And that's, once again, still a little stuff is off. There's stuff missing. They're taking stuff out of the stack. But let's keep going. So he's got his own issues as well. But verse 5. And the men of Gibeah arose against me and besieged the house round about upon me by night. All right, they did this why? Because they wanted to be with that man. Those men of Gibeah wanted to be with this man. All right, and and thought to have slain me. They were going to molest him to the point where he died. That's how they get their that's how they get their jollies. That's how they get all their they get off on. And it says, and my concubine have they forced that she is dead. Right? So then when my concubine was sent out to her, they forced her all night long until she what? Until she died. Verse 6. And I took my concubine, cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Israel, for that they have committed lewdness and folly in Israel. Now this man is letting you know, listen, I ain't perfect either. I got this woman, she's my concubine.
What's another word for folly? Sin?
It's sin. It basically means you're doing foolishness. You're doing stuff that has a
sinful act.
A concept where you don't respect or see God. The word folly and foolishness are connected. And remember, the scripture says that a fool has said in his heart, there is no God. So basically, you're saying that you're acting like there is no God that you got to answer to. That's what folly would be outlined as. I'm going to do something, and I don't think I got to answer to God for anything. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but here's what I'm saying. The Levite husband, he didn't tell him the whole truth. He didn't say that he sent the concubine out. He says like they took her.
Yeah. Well, and once again, like I said, he ain't got all his pieces together either.
Right. So he's not saying I sent her out, instead of sending out instead of them taking me.
Exactly. No, he's not. He's giving them their point of view, but they already know, because he's letting you know this ain't my wife, it's my concubine. And then back in those days, this is what they did. And so, like I said, there's still some pieces of God that are missing. But even with that being said, the thing that the people of Gibeah, the Benjamite folks, did was far over and above. Mm-hmm. Even if he said, "Well, I'm gonna allow you to go out and y'all can kind of touch her, molest her, and everything," but he didn't expect them to kill her.
Right, absolutely.
And that's the point there. But once again, his mindset is not right either. Why would you send your concubine out there? Who's going to do that? All right. But then again, so this is where you got so much badness, so much corrupt thinking. Because they're doing what? They're thinking out of the aspect that I don't have to follow God. Now, they're going to start following God here in a little bit, but God's going to... Well, let me not get ahead of myself. Let's keep going. We got a lot to cover here. All right. So they committed folly. Look at verse 7. Behold, ye are all children of Israel. Give here your advice and counsel. Tell me what you think, children of Israel. Israel means governed by God. So all you people that are governed by God, y'all tell me what I should do. What should be done? Look at verse 8. And all the people arose as one man, saying, we will not any of us go to his tent, neither will we any of us turn to our house. In other words, we're not going home until we solve this. Verse 9, but now this shall be the thing which we will do to Gibeah. We will go up by lot against it. All right, we're going to fight against it. We've already decided our verdict. That if the people of Gibeah will do this kind of thing, we're going to come up against them. We're going to fight against them. Look at verse 10. And we will take 10 men of 1,000 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 of 10,000. In other words, they're saying we're going to take as many people as we need. We're going to take 10 from the small town. We're going to take 100 from the medium-sized town, and we're going to take 1,000 from the big town. We're going to come up with a bunch of folks. We're coming with a mob, all right? And we're going to fetch victuals for the people, and we're going to have enough food so that we can stay a while. We're not going to come there and try to solve this in one sitting. We're going to bring all the victuals, all the things that we need, so that we can hang out until this problem is solved. All right, so they're determined. They're going to do something about it. It's amazing how you can see the evil in other people, and boy, you're ready to fight against it, but you don't see the evil in yourself sometimes. Now, the rest of Israel is doing bad too. We've already gone through the book of Judges, and we see how they are all over the place. Nobody's doing the things that God had told Moses that they should do. But what we can say, yes, there is none perfect. No, not one. Nobody's perfect. Okay, we agree to that. All right? But at least they're at the point where they're saying, but we may not be perfect, but we have not done this. There's got to be a line somewhere that you can draw. But at the same time, hopefully, it will help you to recognize some of your own ills, some of your own shortcomings, because we all got them, every one of us. And if you think you don't got them, you are not telling yourself the truth. You know you got some things you need to work on. And the thing is, we know what we need to do. We just got to make up our mind to try to work on it and do it. And don't quit. Don't give up. Well, how do I get victory over it if I'm struggling with it? The way you get victory over it is you don't quit fighting it. You keep fighting. You keep going. You may lose the first battle, the second battle. Right? We're going to see that here in a minute. Right? But you got to keep doing what? You got to keep going. You got to keep fighting. All right? And so we're going to bring up 10,000, and then it says in the middle part of verse 10, it says, when they came to Gibeah to Benjamin, according to all the folly that they have wrought in Israel, verse 11, so all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, knitted together as one man. Now they came there as a mob. We're all together. You know, we all are here for the one thing. We all got this same mindset. We're going to right this wrong. Okay, all right. Let's see how they handle it. Verse 13. Now therefore deliver us.
Verse 12.
I'm sorry.
12.
I'm sorry. Verse 12. Thank you. And the tribes of Israel sent men throughout all the tribes of Benjamin. All right. So they sent men to Benjamin, and look what they say, saying, "What wickedness is this that is done among you? You guys have lost your mind. Why have y'all done such a wicked thing?" Let's keep going. Verse 13. Now therefore, deliver us the men, the children of Belial. So he said once again, why is he calling them the children of Belial? Because the worship of Baal is this kind of stuff. This is the when you get into the Baal worship. This is the kind. And so when you think about, some of the things that we just don't know about, but every now and then we get ear of it. Remember that guy named Jeffrey Epstein that had that little pleasure island out there, and he got arrested, and then he ended up dying in prison. They said he hung himself.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he didn't hang himself. They killed him because he knew names and he was going to talk. But that same kind of stuff, they're doing all this stuff, molesting people. They bring them to these islands. It's the same spirit. And it's all of these people in power. And there's a lot I could get on the soapbox and talk about that for the rest of the session. But, and now you're seeing this thing with P. Diddy and all this stuff is out of the Baal worship concept. Take advantage of innocence. And why do you want to take advantage of innocence? Why do you want to molest a child? Because it's the nature that Satan did. Satan came to the Garden of Eden and took advantage of innocence. Who was innocent? The Bible says that Adam and Eve were innocent. They didn't know They didn't know wrong from right. And so they trying to follow in the same footsteps as the God they worship. Satan took advantage of innocence. And so the people today that are in power try to take advantage of innocence, which is why they will never help those that are innocent. God says, help those children, fatherless, widows, orphans. God says, help those people. The devil says, no, take advantage of them. Amen. And so this is what happens here. All right. And so, he said, bring out these men, these lewd men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may do what? Put them to death. We got to kill it. We got to get rid of it. If you got a spirit of Baal, you got to kill that. You can't tame it. You got to kill it. Because it will have you going all kinds of which ways. It's got to be killed. And you got to keep it dead, because it will try to rise up and raise up and resurrect. You have to make sure that you, as Paul said, you keep it under your foot. All right? And it says, and put away the evil from Israel. So if we're going to kill them so we can put away this evil. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken. Any surprise? Imagine the people today just doing all this kind of stuff. And don't think it's not going on today, because it is. It's the same kind of thing. All right? And unfortunately, it's a lot of people in power, and we probably won't ever know it until God decides to reveal it. When God decides to pull back the covers and let all this stuff be shown, which sometimes it seems like it's happening more and more. More and more of this stuff is starting to come out. But
didn't they know all these tribes knew these things was happening before he brought attention to it, and nobody did anything before that? It's like newsflash. Exactly.
Well, they knew that the people were doing it, and a lot of them were doing it themselves. They were going into these places of worship to worship Baal, and some of these places to worship Ashtoreth, which is the female version, and they was all doing it. But what they're saying is, you took it too far. But still, like you said, Shaman, they still are all wrong. They know that this is not good. They know that these things that we're doing, and we know they are children that are following the devil, or worshiping after Baal and worshiping after Ashtoreth. But they're now saying, hey, but you took it too far. We're going to put you to death. Now, let's go back to our day. When Jeffrey Epstein got caught, what happened to him? He got thrown in jail, and what did they do to him? They killed him while he was in jail. It just so happened that somehow or another the cameras weren't working. The guard wasn't there. It was supposed to be there. And so all the things happened. That man didn't, in my opinion, that man did not commit suicide. Because he was going to talk. They made sure that he died. And so now, and it's the same thing here. We're going to kill these people because they've taken it too far. They've taken the wrong step. A lot of this stuff is the same. But now what I will say is that we'll see here in a minute that God's going to work with them, even though they are dealing with some evil stuff and not walking properly. I thank God for the portion of Scripture that said, while we were yet sinners, God loved us. He died for us. And so even in our sinful state, this shows you the love of God. Even when you act like this, God still comes in and shows you, I'm still your God. I still can work in you and through you if you let me. Well, let's keep going. All right. And so it says, but the children of Benjamin would not hearken unto the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel. 14. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the city unto Gibeah to go out to battle against the children of Israel. So we're going to fight. You want me to stop? You come in and stop me. You want me to stop doing what I'm doing? You come make me do it. The devil's taking his stand. And that's what the devil will do. The devil won't give up. He will steal and then make you have to come and get your property. Yeah, I stole it from you, but I'm not going to give it back. If you want it back, you come and get it. But God can do that. Let's keep going. 15. And the children of Benjamin were numbered at the time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew swords, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men. So they got 26,000 men out of Benjamin, and then in the actual town where this thing happened, they got another 700 chosen men. So they come together. Like, we like our lifestyle. We don't mind finding innocent women walking about at night, molesting them until they die. That's the way we roll, is what they're saying. And we're going to fight to defend it. It's kind of nasty, isn't it? 16. Among this people, among all this, people were numbered 700 chosen men left-handed. Each one could sling a stone at a hair breadth and not miss. So he's saying amongst these children of these people of Benjamin and Gibeah, they had 700 super marksmen that could take a sling with a stone in it and throw it and hit a hare, a little rabbit that's running around, the little hare, and not miss. All right, I see a hair breadth bouncing around. I can sling that and I won't miss. So they are good. They don't even have to get close to you to fight with the sword. They can knock you out. That's what how David killed Goliath. He didn't have to get close to Goliath. He took that sling and took care of him from a distance. All right, verse 17. And the men of Israel beset Benjamin were numbered 400,000 men that drew sword. All these were men of war. All right, so basically saying we're bringing the military. We're bringing our fighters and our good fighters. All right. Now, I'm going to go kind of fast through the rest of this. This is just bringing up a whole bunch of different things that they did so that we can kind of see how this act, and we're going to stop and slow down a little bit when they got to dealing with God. All right. So in verse 18, it says the children of Israel rose up and they went into the house of the Lord and asked counsel of God, saying, which of us shall go up first to battle against the children of Benjamin? And look what it said. And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. So now, what the thing that you recognize, even though, like as Sharman said, they were doing stuff, some of the same stuff, wasn't as bad, but they were doing some of the same. But they still had the understanding that when they get into a problem, do what? Go to God. That's something I tell people all the time. People say, man, you don't know what I did. I say, I don't care what you did. I don't care what you've been into. All you got to do is do what? Go to God. You have no idea the depth of the goodness and the forgiveness and what God can do for you. You just got to go to him. And this is what they do. But now, when you go to God, don't think everything's going to go just the way you want it. God's going to not only help you get victory, but he also is going to do what to you? Purge you. Why? Because you got some issues that need to be fixed too. When we praying for other people, God says, oh, I'm going to help that person. But before I help that person, I need to also help you. So
he chastises those he loves.
He does. He chastises those whom he loves. So look what happens here. And so God told him, going up. But you notice what God didn't say? He didn't say, go up and I will give you the victory. You notice he didn't say that? He just said, go up. Send Judah first. Y'all want to fight? Send Judah first. Okay, look what happens. And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah, and the men, this is verse 20, and the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin, and the men of Israel put themselves in an array to fight against them at Gibeah. Verse 21, and the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men. Now wait a minute. They asked God, what should we do? And what did God say? Go on out and fight.
Go ahead.
All right. But now the first thing that got purged was the army of Israel. They lost men first. They lost the first battle. And so a lot of times people will say, well, I went to God, and instead of it getting better, it got worse. And sometimes people say, well, I'm giving up. I don't want to deal with God. But God knows what he's doing. Because there's certain things in you that need to be purged too. There's certain things and attitudes and thoughts and ways in you that have to die first before you can get the victory. Verse 22. And the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and set their battle against the array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. Verse 23. And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until evening, and asked counsel of the Lord, saying, shall we go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? So now they're saying, well, listen, Lord, I know, okay, maybe there's a problem here because I'm fighting against our family, our relatives. And so they're bringing that up to God. Lord, is this the problem? Is this what's happening? And the Lord said, look what God says, go up against him. So the Lord telling them what? Go on up and fight again. And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. So now they done lost another 18,000 folks. Now, a lot of times, people are going to say, well, God, you don't have a plan. I'm done. I ain't coming to you no more. Because every time I come to you, I'm losing. It seems like I'm getting worse. I'm the one that you're defeating, not the enemy. Yes, you know why? Because you got stuff in you too. Just like Shaman said, these folks were doing the same kind of stuff. They didn't go as bad as to do all the murdering, but you were still serving Baal. You're still worshiping in the temples of Asherah. You're still hanging out with those temple prostitutes. You're still doing it, but you ain't doing it like how they doing it. We've seen this already throughout all the books of Judges, how they do this. And so God is taking care. I got to purge you before I can use you. That's something people don't like. God, I want you to use me, okay? But before I use you, I have to purge you first. Then after I purge you, I can use you. But you got to let me clean you up first. We got to let me turn you into a righteous vessel. A lot of people quit before that happens. I'm not doing this no more. And after the second battle, a lot of people were like, yeah, can we just go home? Can we just go back to our tent and to our houses? Okay, let's see what happens. Verse 26. Then all the children of Israel and the people went up and came to the house of God. Oh, where are they going now? To the house of God. A little different this time, right? Before they were just praying and asking God. Now we need to go somewhere. We need to go to where God said we're supposed to meet him. And came to the house of God and wept. Now they're weeping. They're crying. They're in other words, they're petitioning God. And sat there before the Lord and fasted. Now we're doing some of the things that were said in the ways of Moses. That day until the evening, and offered burnt offerings. Oh, they forgot about burnt offerings. I didn't see none of that going on in the book of Judges. I seen people going out to the temple for Baal and the temple for Asherah. They're not burning offerings; they're burning in lust. But now, okay, now they're offering burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. They're following the thing that Moses said they were supposed to do. Look at verse 27. And the children of Israel inquired of God, for the ark of the covenant of God was in these days. All right, so now they had the ark of the covenant there. Look at verse 28. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, shall we yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall we cease? Now they're at the point where they're saying, first they said, should we go out? Then they said, should we go out against my brother? Now they're saying, should we go out against my brother, or should we just quit? You see that thing they added to it? Shall we just cease? Should we just call it a day? But look what God says. They're ready to quit. And the Lord said, go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into your hands. You see the different answer that God gives? Mm-hmm. See, before he said, just go on up. Go on and fight. You need to fight. But now he's saying something different. I will deliver them into your hands. All right, verse 29. And the children of Israel set liars. And what liars mean is that they set false people. They set sneaky people, like ambushes. So they got people going behind the scenes. You'll go on the other side, backside of the town. We're going to come in like we came in before, but you guys are going to come around and you're going to sneak around and hide until it's time for you to come out. All right, so they're going to set liars in wait round about Gibeah. Verse 30. And the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put them in an array against Gibeah as at other times. So they set up the same kind of array, so it looked like they were doing the same thing, but they weren't. It's a little different this time because they got all these little ambushes set up. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people and were drawn away from the city. Now we got this people, we're fighting, and as we're fighting, we're going to act like we're retreating. And why do you retreat? You retreat because you feel like you're being what? You're being beat. But they were retreating on purpose, right? To do what? To draw them out of the city. And they began to smite of the people and kill as the other times. And so it looked like the battle was going the same way as it was going before, when they had killed thousands of people. In the highways, of which one goes up to the house of God, and the other to Gibeah in the field. So it's just like the same thing has happened. And while they're running and going up into the same direction, it says, and about 30 men of Israel. All right, so they had 30 men that actually, even though God said, I'm going to give you the victory, you got 30 men here that are still getting hurt, that are still losing and getting injured and dying. 32, verse 32. And the children of Benjamin said, they are smitten down before us as at the first. But the children of Israel said, let us flee. We're going to keep running back and draw them from the city out into the highways, unto the highways. So now they're drawing them out, getting them out from the city. 33. And all the men of Israel rose up from their place and put themselves in an array at Benjamin, and the liars in wait of Israel came forth out of their place, even of the meadows of Gibeah. So they were hiding in the meadows of the high grass. They're hiding in there, and now they came out of their place. Okay, verse 34. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men of Israel, 10,000 chosen men of Israel, and the battle was sore. Now, what does that mean? Fierce.
Yes.
I mean, they were swinging swords and axes and picks and throwing rocks and all the stuff that they got, and arrows and everything. Everybody's fighting with all their might. But they knew not that evil was near them. 35. And the Lord smote Benjamin. Who smote Benjamin?
The Lord.
That's the difference. That's the big difference right there. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day 25,000 and 100 men. All these drew the sword. they're basically destroying the military. Everybody that knew how to swing a sword was dying. 36. So the children of Israel saw that they were smitten. I'm sorry, let me read it again. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten. For the men of Israel gave place to Benjamin because they trusted into their liars in wait, which were had set besides Gibeon. So they were allowing themselves to continue to be drawn out, and they were fighting, and they were actually now winning, but they were still drawing the people out of the city, and they would continue to fight in a retreat format because they knew that our ambush, the liars in wait, were going to come out and do their job. And then we're going to have them surrounded. 37. And the liars in wait hasted and rushed unto Gibeah, and the liars in wait drew themselves along and smote all the city with the edge of the sword. Now they're in the city because all the big and strong fighters are out of the city. And they're killing everybody in the city that's left. 38. Now there was an appointed sign between the men of Israel and the liars in wait, that they should make a great flame with smoke rise up out of the city. So once you get in this city and y'all got the city destroyed, you killed all the people that were able to fight that were left in the city, start setting things on fire so we can see the smoke, and then we'll know to stop running back, and we can now close back in. We'll stop retreating once we see the smoke. 39. And when the men of Israel retired to the battle, Benjamin began to smite and kill of the men of Israel about 30 persons. Like I said, there were some injuries. There was some fighting. They were retreating. It's not the best way to fight. You can't get hurt fighting that way. But they were doing it, sacrificing, to be able to ultimately win the war. Something about sacrifice. Yeah, we're going to lose some, but we're going to win all. For they said, surely they are smitten down before us as the first battle. They're still thinking things are going good. Benjamin does. 40. But when the flame began to arise up out of the city, which a pillar of smoke. So now you see this big old smoke coming out of the city. The Benjamites looked behind them, and behold, the flame of the city ascended up to heaven. 41. And when the men of Israel turned again, the men of Benjamin were amazed. So now the men of Israel stopped running back, fighting by running back. Now they're coming towards them. And now Benjamin is amazed. They're like, oh, wow, we're in trouble now. For they saw that evil was come upon them. You're going to deal, you were killing and destroying, now you're going to be killed and destroyed. What you throw out comes back to you, but it comes back to you a lot heavier than the way you push it out. All right? You want to destroy? Well, your destruction is going to be even worse. Verse 42. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel unto their way to the wilderness. Now they're running to the wilderness. Why? Because they can't run back to the city. They can't run towards Israel. So now they're running and trying to escape in the wilderness. And there's a thing about when you're in the wilderness. Children of Israel were in the wilderness for 40 years. Right? And a place in the wilderness is a place where you end up dying. You die in the wilderness. But the battle overtook them, and they which came out of the city, they destroyed in the midst of them. Verse 43. Thus they enclosed the Benjamites round about, and chased them, and trod them down with ease. It became simple now. Why? Because they didn't even have a heart to fight. The courage, the confidence was gone. They already knew the battle is over. Against Gibeah towards the sun rising, and all there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men. All these were men of valor. So now you got all their strong and their most confident fighters dead. Let's keep going. 45. And they turned and fled towards the wilderness unto the rock of Raymond, and they gleaned of themselves in the highway 5,000 men, and pursued hard after them unto Gibdon, and slew 2,000 men of them. Right? So once again, more people are dying by the sword. 46. So that all which fell that day of Benjamin were 25,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor. All right, so pretty much the entire army, everybody that was of the age to be able to swing a sword, was dead. That's a lot of men dead, isn't it? All right, that's going to be important when we start calculating how many men died here, because this is what's going to talk. This is what we're going to be talking about in our final chapter. Benjamin is about to be destroyed, and we're going to think, how do we get Benjamin to become back and become a tribe again? But let's keep going. Verse 47. But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock of Raymond, and abode in the rocks of Raymond 4 months. So now they're going out there and they're hiding in these rocky places where they can kind of find caves and little areas where they can kind of hide around and not be discovered. Okay, so you got about 600 men that are out there doing this. All right, our final verse. Look at this. And the men of Israel turned again unto the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well as the men in every city. Now we talk about Benjamin, we talk about Gibeah, right? Gibeah was where the problem happened, but now they're going into Benjamin, into where? Just Gibeah? No, every city. You got to think about, so what does that mean? Okay, well, you think of the tribes as like states. You think about the state of New York, and say if the problem was in the city of the city of New York, and so we went out there and we battled against the city of New York. Okay, well, we destroyed the city of New York, but now we're going to go into every city and town in New York and kill every man in New York. Well, that's what's happening here. So we not only got rid of the people in Gibeah, now we're going through all the tribe, the whole state, the whole area of Benjamin, and we're going to kill every man of every city, which as the beast and all that came to hand. So they set on fire all the cities that they came to. So they're not going to just stop with Gibeah. They're going to just basically destroy every area, every town, every city in the tribe of Benjamin. Now, think about that. When you go to all these towns and you're killing all these men, what's going to happen? You're basically not going to have a tribe anymore. The tribe is going to be basically wiped out. And in our next chapter, next week, when we finish with the book of Judges, we're going to see that they recognize, wait a minute, there's a problem here. Are we going to now only be 11 tribes and not be 12? And we're going to answer that question, if the Lord say the same, next week. How do they rebuild the tribe of Benjamin? All right. Any comments or questions on what we talked about today?